there was a lot of YouTube learning,
Mm.
and there wasn't much network before either. So you could go to network someplace, download like
One
three,
video.
like, a couple videos or something, and then you'd have to go home and be able to be like, okay, we're making bread.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tiny Farm Friends podcast. Our guests today are two extremely creative, curious, and kind humans, Abhishek and Corrie, who are also the founders of Red Earth House, a place for exploration, creativity, rewilding, and initiative. You might know them for their incredibly beautiful tattoos. So, thank you, Abhishek and Corey, for joining me on this podcast. I am super fascinated with every little thing you guys do. So, I've been always
Mm.
curious to know about your journey, your backgrounds. So, I think let's start there.
Huh.
Yeah. Thank you, Raghav. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
that was quite the introduction. I feel like there should be a smoke machine or something more dramatic like that introduction, some fireworks maybe.
So I'm Abhishek, and yeah, I started rescuing snakes when I was 8 years old, and I had always enjoyed the company of snakes. I grew up catching them and working with them, which led me to like more research works and filming and like trying to understand the life history and life cycles and stuff. Um, but yeah, slowly all this forest and fascination and works led me to the travels, and that led me to Corrie,
Hmm.
and that's how we met in Gokarna and stuff. And from that time, we are trying to create like a space where we can do our own artworks, be more experimental, and understand more the connection between forest and art. Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Mm,
Nice
yeah.
introduction. Hi, I'm Corey. So as Abhishek told you, I met him whilst traveling in India, and now 5 years later, we're married. So, yeah, it took us a while before we sort of needed to settle,
Mm.
maybe, but by working on other people's projects as well. And I think slowly loving what people are doing and being like, it's amazing, like this and that, but seeing how we would want to do it differently, we realized at some point you have to just bite the bullet and go and do it yourself.
Right.
And me, it was just so important to always have what felt like an art studio. I have an art background. And in nature, there's an abundance of space, materials, everything, and it feels like it comes for free. And so I think that's why we wanted to live in a more like rural environment,
Mm.
and hence landing up in this house.
Mm.
Interesting. I mean, before we dig more about your journey to this house, I was also curious about your nomadic life.
For me, because I was more into snakes, and research, it was always like forests and traveling to places where people haven't been, like collecting data of the snakes and trying to film and stuff like that, which led me to Forest of India's, like having very isolated lives and stuff, and which I really enjoyed as well, coming from the research front and stuff.
I guess you were also working for very long periods of
Yeah,
time,
long
like
period.
in the forest, like
Mm.
when you're in a Gumbe,
Mm-hmm.
like for 9 months, you pretty much followed the same snake,
Mm.
like through the forest.
Wow.
So,
Interesting.
like, maybe saying isolated is even an undersell
Yeah,
of what you were doing. It was completely
just with that.
meditative in some
Yeah,
ways,
yeah.
like,
Living with the snake.
so nomadic, but in some ways you were more like with the snake
Mm.
in the forest.
Yeah, which was
Mm.
very enlightening, definitely. It felt like sadhu life, living and being with an animal which we cannot speak, but
Mm.
it still speaks to you so much, with just its movement and stuff, and the body language of it, definitely. made me realize they have so much to talk about and stuff.
So how
Mm.
do you, Corey, do you have the equal amount of fascination with snakes, or was it after you met Abhishek you like them as an animal or a reptile?
I've never really thought about them, to be honest. Not to the extent that he had. I'm
Right.
from a country where I've seen a slow worm once, and I thought it was a snake. So it's not true.
Mhm.
And so I guess coming here and meeting you, like, of course, it's contagious, like your love for them. But I think more so I've started to love this contradictory relationship that it feels like humans have with snakes, where they're worshipped in temples and then revered to a certain extent and mysterious, Kundalini snakes up your back. And at the same time, like you might find a villager like kill a snake because it's threatening and scary and people don't really know what to do. And so I kind of like that more so than collecting the scientific data. But I'm always up
Interesting.
for a walk to see some.
Right. Pretty interesting. So, Abhishek, how did you find your fascination for snakes and realize that that is something you would like to pursue? And is it just me who's afraid of snakes, or you come across many people who have fear of snakes?
Yeah, definitely. In India, there are lots of people who are really scared of snakes. I think so. It's just comes from not having enough knowledge about the
Hmm.
animal, and that's what has led people, I guess, to have that fear. Because they are like quite harmless. Like I would say. And I think so, like because they haven't felt the snake, so people feel that they're slimy or they are
Mm.
soft to touch. They are going to be like sponge-like and stuff, but it's like an arm, where it's like full of muscles and they have like bones and scales, so they are not slimy and they're not gross to touch. It's just like it's like an arm.
Because what is it that
Interesting.
does make you scared of
Yeah,
snakes? That's what's interesting.
I think it comes from fear of death only, I suppose. It could be related to poison.
I mean we have
That is,
60,000 deaths per year because of snake bites.
yeah,
Still, like we are
yeah.
trying to figure out like other things in the rural places and stuff once the people start, get bitten and stuff. So I can totally understand.
Mm.
Interesting. So, and what led to taking up tattooing as a creative pursuit for both of you? And since you guys have been married, how do you think that as individuals you complement each other or influence each other's creativity?
Oh, I guess the I started tattooing a little before you. It like since I was a kid, it was all that I wanted to do.
Well,
Um, and I would sit in my school class like drawing on myself and drawing on my friends. And I think for my 18th birthday party, I had a tattoo themed party and I made all of my
wow,
relatives tattoo like fake tattoos all over themselves, all dressed up. So it was a bit of an obsession from a young age. But I have to say, I didn't fully start until I was like hand poking, and that was right before coming to India. So I think it kind of has come like hand in hand with the sort of lifestyle that we've been leading. Like we don't tattoo in the same way of going to like a contemporary tattoo shop. We make sure there is like nature around. You come and eat with us, you come and live like us, and you're welcomed into a whole new space rather than just dipping in and out. And I think that's probably how I would say we've been most influenced to each other is how we set the scene in terms of our creativity, because individually our drawing practices are very different. Even like why we draw, I think is very different. Like I have I think the same way you have your snake impulse, I have a drawing impulse. And again, it's been nurtured from such a young age in a different way. And so I think how we really benefit is so much from how we create the space for the sessions to take place, the sounds, the smells, even the unintentional aspects of it, I think, you know. Yeah, what would you say about your tattoo journey and generally?
I think so. It kick-started with Corrie only, but like I wanted to bring the forest and snakes definitely to like my art practice and stuff. And slowly with just like enough practice and stuff, it has like evolved. And now the tattoos which I'm doing, it's completely figurative and only of snakes, which are like an impression from the nature, but not like a realistic version of what I see. So it can be made up, and it has like different forms of it, and also going in the forest every night and seeing the snakes, and this is what is giving me the inspiration. So that's basically what my artwork is right now.
And it's very interesting with your clients recently, because though the works are extremely sort of imaginative and, like you said, almost folk style now, like they've got a lot of pattern based in it, and you know, the giant eyes and these sort of elements. Like I found your clients find a way to be like, it's the Russell Viper or it's the wolf snake, and they have this still connection with one that actually is out there in the wild. Maybe they met it while they were here.
And they always want to go and see the snakes with me, like from outside, like when they are coming traveling after such long time for intentional tattoo trips and stuff, and they stay with us and stuff. It's nice to show them the snakes, what it is in the wild, if they are lucky, and to make them understand how long it takes also to see one in the wild, that is also another challenge.
Almost as long as a hand poke tattoo.
Yeah.
Nice and slow.
Great. So this is something that you said that it definitely inspires your creativity figuratively, but how else does the rural environment influence your creativity, like the seasons?
They add limitations as well as adding like benefits, you know, like during monsoon, naturally, we can't be outside and tattooing because this is the Western Ghats and it's very strong, the rain that we get. And so your practice then might fall into a different medium, even, you know, like I also embroider a lot and my work goes into that. And so it gives you time almost to like hibernate, like every year, like you have cycles the same way the farmland does, you know, like in your creative practices, you know, and as it starts getting warmer, you can start heading outside, start creating stuff for the space as well. Yeah, that's the thing. It's always about creating space for the creativity to happen, you know, because like when people arrive, we can't tell them, oh, go do this now, go do that, or even to ourselves. But if you create an inviting space, I think that's when the magic starts to happen, you know? We found it so important, even just putting like little white dots all over some rocks where it's now a meditation area makes people go and sit there and meditate, you know? So that's been a real creative part of the non-rainy part of the season.
I mean, rainy time also, it's like really creative because during that time we are in the mud and doing all the paddy fields and all the farming, because this is the main crop which we are growing over here and stuff. But yeah, a lot of snakes again. So I'm very happy.
Always a snake.
Nice, interesting. So I also want to now trace the journey of how you ended up in this house. How did you find this place? And what has your journey been towards self-sufficiency? And how was the process of acquiring skills like natural building or farming for that matter?
Well,
I would say we're still very much in the acquiring phase. I think that's the nice thing, you know? Like, I'm sure you'll sort of resonate with this feeling of never quite being an expert in anything.
Yes. Yeah, we
But
are
that
all like
experimentation.
jack of all trades.
Yeah, exactly. So long as it, stands for a while, then it's good.
Mm.
But how did we end
We
up here?
we were traveling on a bike earlier, like we had
Mm,
like a big carrier on our unicorn bike, and we were traveling all throughout India. And when we were doing that, we were also like tattooing, but we used to set up like this small camps in the forest and stuff where
mm,
people can come visit. Also, like we were cooking outside, so we would feed
mm,
them like outside firewood fed cook food, and stuff like that. But anyways, we were in Goa one time, and we were doing same sort of stuff over there. And one of my school friends, we have not spoken for a lot of years now because there was nothing in common. But he got in touch saying that, oh, I'm also in Goa, let's catch up and stuff. And we managed to go to the restaurant and hang out. And he was just like openly, he was like, I have a house, like if you guys want to settle and stuff, you guys can go over there completely. And we were like, at a first, I was like, maybe a little dicey, like how this is going to be and stuff. But yeah, he was immediately like ready to give the keys and stuff. His dad came around over here
mm.
to show where the house exactly was because it's like completely outside of the main part of Chiprun. And yeah, his dad immediately walks in over here, shows us the house, and they has literally said to us like, you can stay over here indefinitely, can do any changes, whatever you want, and there is no like rent thing or like nothing that we have to pay to them, and it's very kind of them to do that.
And I think that's sort of, I mean, coming from Europe, this is unheard of, first of all. Um, but it's that sort of generosity
Mm,
of spirit, which then allows you to feel like you also have so much, like that you're in a state of abundance. And I think that's when it turned into a thing where we understood, we don't need to keep this all for ourselves as well, like how much do two people need? And so that's where it became more of a sharing thing, I guess. But yeah, leading up to the house, it was always just loads of little setups before, wasn't it?
mm.
Until coming here was suddenly like, oh my God, it's so
Like
easy to
we
make something
can,
look
yeah,
magnificent.
yeah, we can settle and stuff like that because like we never had more than what our rucksacks can fit. And we always had like
Mm.
one utensil, one plate, one spoon,
Yeah, a
and
little
then
frying
we would
pan.
like one frying pan, and we would like travel around everywhere cooking food on this one pan.
Mm.
And now we can actually have like set of utensils and like oven or fridge, and I
Mm.
can actually like make meals, which I really love, and I love cooking as well. So I'm feeding everyone with our big kitchen and stuff, and
And
it's
that
been
was an
fantastic.
interesting phase because coming here, like they're really in this town, you can get access to lots of things, of course, but it is
Very
limited
limited.
what you have. You can always get the raw materials, say for food, for instance, but it means there was a lot of YouTube learning. And there wasn't much network before either. So you could go to network someplace, download like
One
three,
video.
like a couple videos or something, and then you'd have to go home and be able to be like, okay, we're making bread or whatever it is we were learning to make, and actually just have to do ourselves and realizing how much is so easy.
Easy, yeah.
We're like,
How
why
like
would we
people are.
buy that prepared,
Mm.
And yeah, it takes time and it takes effort, which a lot of city life, you don't have that luxury of time, which over here we have so much of. But yeah, that self-sufficiency was not just in collecting water and stuff like this. It was in living the life that we want to live, but we have to make everything ourselves.
Mm.
Right.
And coming to natural building, I think so. Like we went to Karuna Farm in Kodaikanal, and that's what intrigued us quite a lot.
So
And we
nice.
met Neville and stuff. Like I met in my very first traveling years, and then I took Corey as well over there to meet him and stuff. And it was really inspiring. And then we don't know like where to start from, because like natural building courses, obviously like we were very on the poverty line, and we couldn't afford the courses and stuff. But where my hometown is, like Nasik, there is a big sadhu culture over there. So we have a
Right.
lot of wandering sadhus coming over there, and I happened to like give a service to one of them like for a couple of years, and he taught me how to like build like like temples and stuff using like a trident only, and no other tool on the top of mountain. And he really intrigued and made me like question things and do things. And he was really strict as well, but really loving at the same time as well. And yeah, that's what helped me to get into it, understand more things, and then bringing it together with like modern architecture and stuff like that. And that's what had led me to natural building and
I think for
more
me,
like experimenting.
like natural building can be really intimidating at the start in terms of when you're reading books and there's lots of people telling you go do the soil test and do these
Right.
things, and that's like, oh my god, we're in a country that is in absolute incredible natural building history. People have been doing it for so long in so many different regions.
And so many different ways of doing in the different regions, like Adobe
Right.
and Jessimate, and we have Wattle and Daub over here. And
It's good to take that sort of influence into consideration and that sort of can do attitude, because it's a case of if you need the house, build the house. Like
Right.
not, oh, I need to make it perfectly smooth or perfectly this and
get the clay from China or something like that.
and if you have to redo it because you made a mistake or whatever happens, then you just keep restoring and you keep doing extra things so long as it serves the purpose. What's the difference, right?
Right. I think it's quite forgiving that way, that you can always like redo it yourself. You do not know, require skilled
Mm.
person and materials from outside. So that's true. And once you build it with your own hands, you realize that it is such an intuitive process and not just a very technical process, as you mentioned, of testing soils. Because every soil is so different that you need to have that muscle memory and intuition that this
Yeah.
is right for building. In fact, I was reading about termites, that their intuitive sense is also so strong that they know the exact ratios and the kind of soil they need, kind of water they need in that content to build their own castles. So
Oh
it's
my god.
just that I think we have, maybe lost touch with our intuitive sense and maybe outsourced our basic necessities. So yeah, it was wonderful to see what you have created and built, and like all the tribal art over it also with the white walls. It was lovely. But you also did it with a lot of people, right? Like volunteers and friends. So how was that
Yeah.
experience?
We had a lot of people, like it definitely was unintentional, but when we started the house and stuff, like at the first very start, like a lot of my friends like showed up to help us. And because also like the raw materials were getting dropped at very far away distance. Over here, we build using laterite rocks, was the traditional way of method of using and building the houses from. So these rocks are definitely like 30 kg in weight, like each one of them, and you get dropped like far away from your house, and you have to, for building the thing, you have to first get the rocks over here. And
Wow.
but at points also it could get too much as well, because we were mostly like people who want like isolation, and who wanted our own time to do our practice as well. So to get that balance, we are still trying to understand that balance actually, like even
Yeah.
yet we have not figured out completely. But yeah, it's amazing how beautiful people we meet and what all things we can learn from them. And so many skills getting exchanged, and so many like new ideas and stuff. It's quite great, huh?
Definitely. And it doesn't feel like we're teachers,
Yeah.
you're students. It's more just like people coming together, trying to
And
make
being on the
something
same level.
work.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like everyone's got to be an equally strong link in some
Mm.
ways.
Interesting. I think it's also pretty interesting to see, Corey, how you have inculcated the Indian nod in your body language now.
Well,
So
my
that's,
Marathi is a little weak, so you know, you
yeah,
gotta have the body language, I guess.
yeah, interesting. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, how has this commune or this space evolved over time?
Well, earlier there was just one house which was offered to us, but as we came over here, like people started offering their lands to us, like the villages and stuff, like started coming like forth, like and all the lands around the house. They offered me to do like the farming and stuff, and it was like pretty much for us to use. So that got expanded, and I think so. We were pretty low tech earlier, right?
Oh, it was very low tech. We didn't have
Like
any water on site.
yeah, there was no water. Earlier, there was no electricity as well. So electricity bought in. Then we started like figuring out how to bring water and stuff. So 1 year we just bought water from the pots, and
That was one of the main tasks.
one of the main tasks
People
of
that came,
yeah,
like just carrying water. But
because wells are still like 15 minutes from the house by walk, and
Oh,
it is like still in the like mountain and stuff. And that's where we get the water, and we used to come down, and 1 year was spent beautifully doing that because everybody got to understand the importance of water and how much it is necessary in your day-to-day life as well and stuff. But yeah, like as the time has passed, we have got like motor now which is pumping the water down, and we just have to get the drinking water. We can do more like farm stuff during like non-rainy season. Earlier farming was just during rainy time and just particular vegetables. Now I'm trying to expand like the farming thing with like bringing more like outside stuff. So when we visited Thailand, I have picked up seeds which can be like grown over here, and I'm just like giving like trial runs to like different types. Now we are like
not just duty.
yeah. Now we are also expanding our stays where we are trying to build like houses like close to the house as well, like small tiny cottages where people can come, like artists can come and have their own space, have their own kitchen where we could meet and like develop like a timing system or something like that where it could be like a collaborative work experience, using art and stuff.
hosting takes a lot of energy also. Like apart from the privacy
Mm.
part, everybody wants to know your story. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to know how you like got into snakes and stuff. So you have to tell those
Mm.
repetitive stories. And
Mm.
at the same time, you might need time to, like take your art practice a little further, or maybe your science
Mm.
research towards snake further. So how do you
Yeah.
see that balance?
It is true. Like if you keep repeating the same story, you almost start to believe your narrative a little too strong.
Yeah, but
You
also
know?
also like yeah, forgetting about the reality as well.
And that's why I think in those moments of no one here, you kind of can slip more into not that easy social life, you know, where you're being really stimulated, you're not thinking too much, and you know, there's beautiful humans around. But when you're on your own, there's a more reflective, internalized
Mm.
sort of experience again. You get those moments in nature again, you know, where you
Right.
can actually hear nature. Um, and it's
You don't spend time talking and stuff.
but I'd say like we're getting also better at feeling comfortable with more silence with new people,
Mm.
you know, and you know, you don't go to a sadhu and he starts like entertaining you with
Exactly.
everything he's ever done, you know, like give you time, give you space, maybe he'll give
Give
you
you utensils,
yeah, a little
start
he might
cooking.
sit by the side, you know. But it's like we don't have to be such extravagant hosts as I feel sometimes people maybe expect or maybe we expect of ourselves, you know. I think once and again I think it's how the physical space is laid out really does determine it as much as the individuals.
Mm.
So yeah, once there are more outlets, I think the privacy will again, not just privacy again, like we were saying, the hosting thing, but that sense of independence and your ability to still have really solitary time when other people are visiting your space. I think it will happen very naturally. Mm,
Right.
we'll see. We'll let you know.
Yeah, yeah,
If it gets
those were
big.
some profound insights. So, how's your experience of community living? Like, how easy it is? What are the challenges? And is it
Mm.
the dreamy story that everybody thinks about, or is it that rosy?
I think so. It definitely starts from the Indian administration for sure. Getting your land, it's a very big
Mm,
step, which you
right.
spend like couple of years doing it. Also, in community living, there is a lot of testing of patience because not every volunteer or person who is coming to help you at the farm is gonna be amazing, you know. Some people just want to get served, and for them, I feel like special. To give out my special heart, you know, I give them more service, I provide them more stuff, and they like to get served and they like to enjoy that thing of, you know, of Indian hospitality and stuff. So
Mm.
it can be challenging as well as it can be very enlightening. uh, it has its own taste and ways of doing it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was never my dream, to be honest, to live with lots of
Also like
people.
me, yeah.
If anything, I would have said I probably wouldn't have even lived with you. I would have been like on my own somewhere in the forest.
Right.
But it's I think sometimes we need what we don't think we want, you know? So if you are a very solitary person, like if we're just here by ourselves all the time, you can get very just in the space, you know, and you're not seeing anything external, you're not seeing quick change. And when social occasions happen, when people arrive and they bring this new dynamic and energy, like so grateful. You know, you see the same neighbors like every day. It's like, you know, again, you know, you. But to have someone fresh come into the space can be, it's a gift as well as a test sometimes, but again, an extra gift because that's the way that we grow. You were right, very much in saying that if someone really wants you to serve them more or isn't able to help serve others, then that's not for us to feel bad about them. It's more for us to rise to the occasion and stuff. So yeah, I think I never had the dreamy idea of community, and I don't think it's the answer that solves all the world's problems. Um, but I think
We are trying to set an example, maybe.
yeah, you know, just like maybe just being a bit more easy breezy, you know, like about your space even is the nice thing. Like it's more open than a classic family home. Well, not in India, unlike the ones that I've known.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, a European household. But it's nice because it doesn't make you so possessive. You don't say, this is my house. Instead, you're like, do we have enough mattresses? Like when people come, or, you know, what can we do to make this space better for a group of people? And then we still get to enjoy it ourselves, you know? So,
Make them have more comfortable living and stuff while they're staying,
yeah.
and feed them nice Indian foods which they haven't tried and local stuff, you know.
But perhaps that's the key because though we live in a community, we're kind of running it at the same time. So it's not like we live in a place of 20 people, like modern day tribe vibes, eco tribe, where we all have that sort of equal level, and then you can't ever come to a decision and you have to sit around talking about your feelings a lot. Like it's instead we can kind of make little changes and little shifts that help accommodate other people and they can still have a great time. But I guess the constant is always us,
Right.
which is kind of
Interesting. So you guys get to act as stewards of the space and see like steer
Mm.
it to the direction you seem. Interesting. And
Yeah.
how has been the response of the rural community around, like to whatever things you do with all these tattoos and people coming to get tattooed?
Mm, Well, earlier people were very intrigued, like they have just seen like passing on the bikes because this is close by is Mumbai Goa National Highway,
Right.
and people have always seen like Westerners passing by, and they would sometimes give like coins and stuff to like the small children, but they haven't seen someone from close distance, and even a person like me who could speak like their local dialect and stuff. So earlier it was like it could be quite a lot also.
It was the local museum for the
Yeah, it
area,
was a
you know.
local
I
museum
can
for the area.
understand.
Anybody,
Right.
any relatives coming to the house of this villagers, or like relatives, relative coming to their house, they would bring all these people all together. 20 people will come and visit the house, and they will just like watch from far away distance.
Sometimes not so far as
Yeah,
well.
sometimes very close to you while you're doing
Right.
stuff. That was also quite a test of patience, but they are
He
very
did
sweet.
he did try and build some gates,
Yeah.
but they didn't work either.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, I
But
can
in general,
Yeah.
imagine.
like
They,
I mean, it's all sweetness
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's all curiosity and
All the helping ways also, like
oh my
all these
God.
things, they want to help you, so some guy's carpenter or some guy works in like wood cutting factories or stuff like that, and every at the end everyone is helpful to us, so we
Mm.
have to accommodate everyone whoever is coming to visit and intrigued or curious and stuff.
But there's such a sharing nature as well, like our neighbors that we're kind of closest to, like we'll be invited around for like the special pujas and like Tulsi
Diwali,
marriage and
yeah.
Ganesha Day, like Ganpati sort of time around here is really big. And it doesn't matter who's in the house at the time. There could be like five foreigners from everywhere, and they'll be like, bring them, we need to feed them puri, and
Cooking
Yeah.
like nice food and stuff.
yeah, it's
Yes.
it's very welcoming in that respect. It does feel like a family in some ways. In lots of ways.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like nothing can phase these people. They don't seem to get shocked.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'd have to
I
do something
think,
more extreme.
yeah, we have had similar experiences in our village as well. And I think that just tells about like how humans are alike in a lot of ways. And so if someone doesn't know what Red Earth House is about and what's happening, can you walk us through like how does it function currently?
So right now there are two ways to visit Red Earth House. One is to come and stay with us, eat with us, maybe stay 1, 2 days, 3 days, and you'll be coming specifically for a tattoo session. This is usually because you've already seen our works and you know who you want your tattoo from. So people will arrive anytime, sometimes like 2 a.m.,
Night,
5 a.m.,
Really? Wow, crazy.
Yeah, like you don't really have much choice sometimes with the transport. And then that's the first way to stay.
Mhm.
And then the second way is kind of our take on the idea of a volunteer, except that we're not yet able to offer that sort of free experience. So instead, we have people that come specifically with their skills, and it means that they get all their food, which is always amazing, and their accommodation free, and they literally just live the way that we live for a while, work maybe 4, 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
Um,
Ongoing projects and
yeah.
whatever they want to work. Actually, like we are always intrigued when people are doing their own projects without us telling them. And that's what we always wanted, to do your own artwork without us telling you guys, but be more creative and
Initiative
open.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we literally just had a lady here that specialized in shrine making and
Wow.
had her own sort of practice in doing that, as well as natural dyeing. And it didn't feel like then we had to be like, oh, can you help us with this farm work or sweeping these leaves, or
Yeah, she
do you
would
want to
just
maybe do the dishes?
mm,
It's like she would put herself
wander
into
off, yeah,
practice like
wander
straight
off in the
away.
forest, yeah,
It was
collect
beautiful.
things, build a shrine in like in one of the fields, and it's like really pretty and inspiring to see all those
Yeah,
things.
because it's such a gift just by people leaning into their own practices.
Mm,
And that's why we've kind of called it like skilled concession, because you get your discount for staying here, but then you just come with your skills and
offer your skin.
offer it. It makes it such a more beautiful place. Like this house without anyone living in it just goes straight back to nature. It disintegrates. Like
Mm,
without the people in it making it vibrant, it's just empty. It's an empty space. So everyone that comes, it's really a blessing, isn't it?
mm,
Especially when they do provide skills like that.
yeah.
So those are the two ways to visit Red Earth House. Yeah, just pure experimentation. I think, like we said before, it's learning everything yourself, and that's what we're doing. We're all in a state of learning.
Mm,
I've got my avocado plants, which is my small way into, you know,
farming.
not
Mm.
allowing nature to die because of me. And you've got like a whole micro farm going on at the
Mm,
moment. And yeah, it's just always finding another way to make something
mm,
more beautiful through a creative practice, I
mm,
guess. That's what Red Earth is.
So that's
mm.
quite interesting. So do you guys miss the city, or what do you miss about the city in that case?
No.
No,
No.
I completely avoid going to cities, but like to get like hardware stuff or like
Mm.
specific things, I still have to go, which is like 15 kilometers from here. And it's such a big task, like really drains you out. And once I'm back from the city, I have to go and lie down, close my eyes and just like relax and not do anything for some time,
And this is
not,
barely a city,
yeah, this is barely even a city where we are staying. And
It's
when
one
I
road.
go to Mumbai, it's whole new level,
Hmm.
it's just like drains me out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, anthropology wise, it's always fun to go to a city because suddenly, well, firstly, everyone looks so damn clean. Like it's, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm still covered in dirt.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I guess there's so much choice, isn't there? In city, that's what a city is. It's choice, choice, choice. Like you can get anything that you want.
Mm.
So maybe for like one day, it's fun to pretend that you're like a kid in a candy shop and, find those items that you would never have in your area. But it's never a missing. I never like yearn to go there.
Mm.
Maybe the only thing I would say is I miss tattooing a little bit more because getting people to come here
yeah,
is a tiny bit more of a
Mm.
task. Um, Obviously people got to be bold, they got to be ready for that pilgrimage and they've got to make it to the space. But it's yeah, I do sometimes miss
Mm.
the ease when you're in a city of how your clients can just come
right.
get to work.
Yeah, I think my brother Ansh also faces that dilemma because he gets to do a lot of pottery and like creating those artworks and firing the clay or whatever. You need that some sort of infrastructure or that kind
Yeah,
of place to actually practice your art also. So I think it's a dual thing that on one place you
100%.
get the inspiration and other place you get the opportunity. So I think the
Mm,
balance is important, maybe.
yeah, I think with enough time though, once people know that you're in that space, because that's what we found as well, then all that, or if you can build your own studio that has those things that you need
Right,
eventually, then I feel like you'd never miss the city after that
that's
Mhm.
as
true.
an artist.
I think that was a wonderful way to end the conversation, and I am
Hmm.
really grateful for you guys to speaking your hearts out, and it was a very heartwarming conversation. But before we end this podcast, I'd like you to share your Instagram handle, the website, or wherever people can reach you.
So you can find us redearthhouse.com. Red Earth House is also Instagram. Black Crate Arts
Mm.
for his personal artwork, and I'm Corrie Foreman. Shirsat.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and having this conversation.
That was really lovely.